So finally, we come to the colors of the Rashis. So the colors are actually a property of the Rashis. Several Vedic astrology books give the colors of the Rashis. They don't give colors of the planets, right? A lot of people think that planets, they actually are responsible for colors, but planets, they do not actually give colors. Okay, planets, they give tones to things, right? For example, in the course on the planets, we show how the planets are responsible for giving tones to our skin, right? Saturn makes our skin darker, while the moon makes our skin brighter. So likewise, the planets give different tones to different things, but the planets themselves are not coloring agents, right? They don't color things. They just tone things. So keep that in mind when you try to predict color, right? The actual color of something is indicated by the Rashi. And that's why there are several astrology texts that give the colors of Rashis. However, those astrology books, they are not completely in agreement, and that is really a problem, right? The other problem is that they don't cover the complete color spectrum. They only cover a few colors. They don't cover all the available colors, okay? It's actually not a surprise, because back in the time when these texts were written, the available colors were very limited, compared to what is available now. Now we can go anywhere in the world and we can get any color, but it wasn't long ago that the color of cloth that we could get was only very few, right? If you got a pink cloth, it wasn't a vibrant neon pink that we can get today. It might have been just a very sort of a subtle shade of pink that was perhaps even a bit brownish. So we made so much advancements when it actually comes to color pigments that the colors available today are just quite different from what was available in the past. And the colors that the astrology books give for the Rashis are not entirely useful anymore in this day and age, right? Because they show those colors that were available, during their time, okay? And so I don't really want to show you what each of the books, tells us about the colors of the Rashis, because many times actually they agree, but then they again also disagree on certain colors. And in the end, they do not actually talk about the entire color spectrum anyway. And so it is best if we can just understand the concepts behind colors and Rashis, and then we can simply use the modern color theory that supports all these varieties of colors that we have today. Before we're going to talk about the modern colors of the Rashis, let's first talk about how to actually use the colors. What makes it difficult actually to work with color is that predicting the details of something is very difficult. The reason is that there's not just one Rashi or one planet that can give something. So let's say we talk about your car, right? The fourth house cusp, that's your car. And the fourth lord is also your car. Now, the sign where the fourth house cusp is in, that can be the color of your car. And the ruler of the fourth cusp is in a sign, and that, can also indicate the color of your car as well. Then there's also the ruler of the fourth lord that can give you a car, and he's going to be in a sign that's going to indicate the color of your car as well. And additionally, you also got to look towards Venus, which is the Karaka of cars. The sign that Venus is in can indicate your car, and the planet that actually rules Venus and the sign that planet is in, that can also actually indicate the color of your car. And for that, you look towards the D1 chart and the D16 chart, which is the chart of vehicles, right? So you need to check all of those factors because they can all indicate the color of your car. So, and that is just what makes it a lot more difficult actually to really predict the exact color, because you have all these possible colors of your cars, right? There are several planets and rashis that can indicate, the details of your car, including the color of your car. And you can't just look, at the chart and say, oh, I only drive red cars because my fourth lord is in a red sign, right? Throughout your life, you might have, you might have a few red cars, but then you might also have a blue car and a white car and an orange car, for example, right? We usually don't have just, this one color of a car, right? And we use the fourth house and Venus to figure out the colors that you are going to choose for your car. So yes, you can say these are all gonna be the possible colors of your car when you analyze, the fourth house factors and Venus in the D1 and the D16. But how can we actually predict what color you're gonna pick whenever you buy a vehicle? We do that with the fifth Dasha Lord in Vimshottari Dasha. The fifth Dasha Lord gives the concrete thing. And by doing so, it really represents also the details of that concrete thing, right? The fifth Dasha Lord shows that sort of small window of time when you actually buy the car, and it shows all the details of the car, including the color. And for that, of course, our birth time needs to be very accurate, right? So, because then that small window of time is also accurate. We also need to have the right ayanamsha for that fifth dasha level to be accurate. And of course, for that fifth dasha lord then to actually represent the car that you bought, and therefore, the car has a specific color. So therefore, it's actually a lot safer and easier to look at the possible colors that you might choose from in general with regards to your vehicles. And for that, just look at the relevant signs indicating the colors of your vehicles, which are those that are connected to the fourth house factors and Venus. And then you will also see that it's no surprise that I mostly have, white cars, for example, right? Because my fourth cusp in the D1 is in Taurus. And not only that, perhaps even Venus, the karaka of vehicles, is there too. And this is also actually how I like to use this technique, is to see, okay, if I look at all of my fourth house factors, which one of them is the best actually? Because that will reveal a theme to you of the good and reliable cars that are linked to certain colors, while the cars you had the most trouble with will likely have other colors, okay? But yes, if you want to predict the exact color of a car, then you need to work with that fifth Dasha Lord. The Dasha Lord changes quickly, so you gotta make sure that the birth time is correct. You also have the right Anamsha, because we're dealing here with the Vimshottari Dasha. But the fifth level Dasha changes actually quite quickly. And so this is also the reason why, technically speaking, you could, buy yourselves, like a car every day. It has a different color. Even like during the day, sometimes the fifth dasha actually changes, okay? But predicting, the color of something is challenging, and that's why most people don't even try to do it, because it is really, really hard. But it is possible. Just look at the fifth dasha lord, because that is always gonna show the actual concrete thing at that specific time with all the details.